G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad State of Origin Fantasy Show. I'm Stu, that's Dyl, and we are the Fantasy Bros, here to provide you everything you need to know to succeed in the 2026 edition of the Queensland versus New South Wales Special Comp on GDS. Joining Dyl and I to preview all things Game 1 is a familiar face on the Fantasy Bros channel. It's the XRP Effect. Matty, welcome, mate. Had we have known you were a Blues fan pre-show, we probably would have thought twice about having you on, but look, it's probably good to get the perspective from someone who's probably used to being second best. Mate, quietly confident or a little unsure about tonight?
Thanks for the warm introduction there, Stu. Really appreciate that one. Look, mate, I think for the past 5 years, I've gone into every Game 1 thinking that this is our year. Feels like being an England supporter for the past 30 years and saying it's coming home, it's coming home. Unfortunately, it just has not come home enough here. So, look, I think we're in for an absolute cracking game. Quietly confident again, but as I said, I've said that for many years in a row now.
Yeah, and that's, I think, been the theme of so many recent seasons where the Blues just seem to keep rolling out the best side on paper. But look, footy's played on grass, isn't it? Not necessarily on paper. And what do they say about a champion team? They beat a team of champions. And gee, look, I think the $1.60 odds, I know we're not a betting channel here, but I think those bookies have rocks in their heads, having the team so separate in that department. Looks like we've just lost Dyl. He'll probably be back in a moment. That might just be the sound of him rejoining us. Some pre-game jitters, it seems like, for Dyl and the Queenslanders. Or it must be the weather that we've got up here in Brizzy. Fortunately, the game's not played here in Brizzy because the weather is absolutely atrocious. But I'm hearing it's not any better down south.
I'm going to say, do we have a weather update? I might look at that one now around the grounds.
Dyl, have we got you, mate?
Mate, I think that's better. I think I'm here. Yep, look at that.
Gotcha.
Look, yeah, absolutely torrential rain in Brizzy today or this afternoon. Almost didn't make it home. There's a lot of flooding around. So, look, I'm obviously playing some havoc with my internet and with my camera, but I am here and I'm pumped. Obviously missed a little bit of the chat there. But look, I'm super keen for this game tonight. It's been a long time coming. It's something we always look forward to. And look, I know that I spend most of the year pumping up the Warriors and I am a Kiwi, but I played my first game of rugby league in Queensland. So therefore I'm a Queenslander. So let's get around the boys tonight and let's have a big one.
Love it. Good on you. We got Jazz. We got Sif Kanga in the chat as always. Howdy. Let's get rowdy. He's added up the Blues. So you've got some support there, Matty, as well as Tracy Wall, the Blues as well. Can we get some Go the Maroons in the chat as well? Let us know who you're supporting and who you think is going to take out Game 1. Do a little bit different. Normally we'd be previewing the upcoming round of NRL, but what's going to be different on tonight's show?
Yeah, as you said, pretty different. We're going to just focus on just the State of Origin game tonight, the New South Wales versus Queensland competition through GameDay Squad. So really, we're just going to sit and talk through some of the key players that we are going to focus on in terms of the start sits, a couple of key pods as well, and then always the potential of the salary pod for just the Queensland versus New South Wales competition. Look, the best thing about it, what I love about it, is that can it be accessed by any coach. We can use our bronze cards all the way through to the platinum, plus there's the special Queensland versus New South Wales competition that are in packs now that I believe they're still available there. And they give you a special multiplier of 1.4 just for the Origin game. So an unreal opportunity for even some of our newer coaches that maybe have just started this year to still get a side in and still get some opportunity to win some unreal prizes.
Speaking of new coaches, never too late to join GameDay Squad. New users can sign up using the app or the website using the code FBRL26. You'll get 3 by 9 player common packs to get you started, and you can tender squads rolling. Plenty of bronze cards there as well to start competing for some awesome packs and cash prizes. Boys, just quickly, we spoke about a trade off air. We've got Skip in here. Can I just get your opinion? Is a Lindsay Collins for Haumole Olakau'atu a fair trade?
Mate, considering you messaged me earlier about my Ethan Strange that's currently up for trade and offered the Haumole, I think there's probably some better options out there. Sorry, Skip.
I mean, unfortunately, boys, I've seen Lindsay Collins just ruin some New South Wales Blues years. So for me, it could be a fair trade there. He's good under the high ball too.
Yeah, 1-on-1 against Teddy. We will never forget. Righto, boys, let's take a quick look at the Game 1 team list there on screen those watching have a quick look, there is obviously that one late change there with Mitchy Moses. Didn't want to play, apparently didn't want to run out and face the mighty Maroons. So his spot's been taken there by Ethan Strange. Matty, start with you quickly. What do you make of the New South Wales Blues side? Can you see any changes happening before kickoff? I know there are always an opportunity for some silly buggers with team lists being named, but do you see any replacements? If so, what might be some of those late changes?
Yeah, look, we've named quite a strong team. Obviously, a couple of injuries that we've got here in Latrell, who would be an automatic starter for us, but hearing some on the ground that there might be a little late change there between Cooler and Crichton. A couple of murmurs going around, a couple of platforms that Cooler might go into the centres and Crichton on the wings. So whether or not that might change any positions that you put in your GDS team, just make sure we check those late team lists. Mm-hmm. Pretty solid forward pack there. Don't think there'll be any changes, but not too stoked about our bench, to be honest. So hoping that we get some big minutes there across our 10 to 13.
Absolutely, fairly light on there from your 14 through 21. And Dyl, same question there for the Queenslanders. Any potential late changes, do you think, 90 minutes out from kickoff?
We've always seen it in the past. I think the last 4 or 5 games in particular, Harry Grant moving to the bench and someone coming in and playing that role. Obviously, we don't have the Benny Hunt type on the bench there to be able to do that. I don't see Ezra Mann potentially playing that role, but maybe Max Plath. Max Plath has been playing some great footy at hooker throughout the season at the Dolphins. So potentially there's that change. Maybe Harry Grant goes to the bench and maybe someone like Paddy Carrigan comes on and Plathy goes into the hooker role. That's probably the only potential change I see. I also agree with what you're saying, Maddie, about New South Wales. I think it's the same thing can be said for Queensland. That a bit of a head scratcher that Shibasaki's on the bench there over a couple of other options that we could have picked, particularly the back end of the game. I can't imagine Billy going to Shibasaki with 10 minutes to go, 2 points, and we need something big and going, mate, you go and make a difference. I find that quite difficult to believe that would be the case. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure with that selection, but I like the rest of the bench otherwise.
It was an unusual decision there, Dill, to pick a traffic cone at number 7 this year.
Mate, we've got some unreal enforcers either side of him. That's all. It'll make sure he doesn't need to tackle once. So he won't miss a tackle because he won't make one.
Ruben Cotter, State of Origin tackling record. I think he's going to have to do plenty alongside Sammy Walker there. We'll probably get a final team list in about 20 minutes, 90 minutes out from kickoff. So we'll probably pause our positional previews. Then if there are any big changes, maybe the Crichton and Cooler news we can discuss later on in the centres. But look, if Maxi Plath does move there to number 9 and allow Harry to come onto the field after 20 or 25 minutes, like he has been in the past, gee, that'd be pretty tough, I think, given young Maxi Plath in his first Origin series. The responsibility of just going out there and ensuring he gets clean ball off the deck and makes plenty of tackles while the best hooker in the country is off the field. But we will wait and see, and we'll get into that as soon as they are announced. Boys, let's get into some of the rules very quickly. As you can see on screen, we've got $5,000 to play for in the Queensland versus New South Wales competition. The unique rules with an 11 million salary cap, up from 10 million if you played last season. Can't put any diamonds or legends in there, so there's a bit of an equaliser amongst some of the newer versus older players. But the big difference, I think, is no special cards. And Matty, there's no secret that your side is absolutely full of them, and you're getting a 1.4x multiplier for all of those special cards. I think your boss, if he's tuning into this show, might be pretty disappointed that you weren't doing a lot of work today. You were just wheeling and dealing. Is that correct?
Look, there was a lot of early morning trades and a lot of afternoon late trades occurring today, Stu.
Good answer. Good answer. First prize is $1,000 per for all of the 3 matches. Second place, if you finish second, $500, and third place, $250 as well. But packs all the way down to 250th place. So even if you don't have a whole heap of special cards and you think you're no chance up against the XRP effect, make sure you get a side in anyway. You can still use bronze and silvers of the players mentioned, and chances are you'll finish in that top 250 anyway, and you get a couple of pretty handy packs for your week-long sides anyway. Boys, enough chit-chat. Let's get straight into the positional previews. We've got 3 hooking options. Harry Grant from Queensland, Reece Robson and Blake Brayley from New South Wales. Dill, I'll start with you because on screen, you and I have both gone the obvious option there in Harry Grant. Why is he a head and shoulders pick above the other two? And then Matty can have a bit of response about the role that we might see some of those Blues players having.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I just said around potential of Max Plath coming in. If that's not the case, if Harry Grant is named to start at hooker, there's a pretty clear potential for him to play 80 minutes or even potentially through the middle period of the game, Max Plath might jump into hooker. But I don't see a world where we don't get a 60-plus minute performance from Grant. If he does get named on the bench, I might be a little bit more hesitant. I might be looking at a couple of different options, maybe the Robson option potentially. Grant's averaging 42 GDS points in the 68 minutes when on average when he's starting at hooker over the last 5 years of Origin. In comparison, Robson, he's had a similar average in terms of minutes on the park, but his GDS average is only a 39. Obviously, not as many games to talk about there as well in terms of that. Historically, though, across the last 5 years, Grant's output significantly drops when he's coming off the bench. In particular, it's those missed tackles that we talk about. Grant, in clubland, he's usually misses 3 or 4, and that can climb as well very quickly. At Origin level, it's a different sort of game, really, and that fatigue factor is pretty important. I think it's going to be really important in tonight's game with a bit of weather around as well. That fatigue is going to set in, and that's where we're going to see a lot of missed tackles. And Harry Grant is known for plenty of those. So there's obviously a caveat there around Harry Grant, and there's going to be some decisions that need to be made if he's moved to the bench. If he's not, if it's as per the team list, I'll be running Harry Grant for sure.
Matty, you've got your team on your wallpaper behind you there. I'm just trying to zoom in a little bit. Is that Harry Grant at hooker? And also, what do you see the Blues doing with their hook combination? Is it likely going to be an even split? Is Blake Brayley going to be used based on game scenario? What do you make of that sort of makeup?
Yeah, look, firstly, it is Harry Grant. I do think he is a lock. He's just got to be in your team tonight. There's so much uncertainty happening there across the New South Wales team with Brayley. Is he going to play 40? Is he going to play 20? I was talking to one of the other boys today in the chat, and I do think that there's going to be a bit more strategy from the Blues tonight when it comes to the use of Robson and Brayley. We had Watson sitting on the bench last year, but more as a utility. So more so that if there was any injuries that we had in the centres or the halves, we'd be able to throw Connor Watson in. But having a really specialised hooker has not been something that we've done in the past from the Blues perspective. So I do think that we might see maybe a 50, 30-minute split for Robson and Brayley tonight. In saying that, I think a lot of coaches should look at the hooker position and prioritise it as a lower salary tonight. I think the points made about the missed tackles and the weather, there does appear to be some rain. They said about 30 to 40% chance of rain between 8 and 9 p.m. tonight. So let's not put too much salary on the hookers this evening.
Is there a world where Blake Brayley doesn't see the field?
Yeah, when New South Wales are up 40-0 after 25 minutes, we might just let it roll.
So, Dill, no interest in a Robson 50-minute stint on your bench hooker position?
Not at this stage, I don't think so. I think, if anything, it's just going to be the two New South Wales hookers potentially snaking some minutes and some GDS points off each other as a result. The only real reason I might look at, say, a Robson for the 50-odd minutes is potentially an anti-pod play where everyone else is going, a pod play where everyone else is going with the Harry Grant, and we just go somewhere else to try and find that point of difference. So for me, that would be the only reason. Becomes a different story in 20 minutes or so, as you say, when teams are named, and we might see Harry Grant drop to the bench.
All right, we'll get back to that shortly if we need to. Let's move on to the middle forward position. We've got plenty of options here in the middles. I'll just run through them. From the Blues, we can select Adam Fennell-Blake, Mitchie Barnett, Isaiah Yeo, Cam Murray, Victor Radley, Jacob Saifidi. From the Maroons, Tommy Flegler, Tino, Ruben Cotter, Paddy Carrigan, Lindsay Collins, and Trent Liero. Pretty similar there, Dill, with Yeo, Cotter, and Tino. That's probably the most polarizing pick, I think, there. I'm still not settled on my middles. I think the middles have been a pretty difficult spot alongside the halves. Actually, let's talk about the Yeo and Cotter. I think that they're going to be pretty popular plays. Dill, any reason why anyone wouldn't want to lock in a Yeo or a Cotter?
The only reason maybe with Yo is the minutes and how much they've fluctuated over the last few games, over the last few years. But I think that's a really solid pick, and you get consistency from Yo. And I think that you will get that 55, 60-minute performance from Yo no matter what. And there's a sort of a safety there. There's a floor there for sure. Cotter's the one that I'm really keen on, and I think he's going to have a really big game. And I think from a GDS perspective, from a fantasy perspective, Cotter lining up on the edge is probably the best we could have hoped for. Playing out of position on the edge with the middle tag in GDS, based on those origin stats over the last 5 years that we've collected, his output's been a lot better on the edge. He's averaging 71 minutes and 50 GDS points compared to similar minutes at prop or lock, but sort of averaging in the low 40s when he plays in either of those two positions. So the question, obviously, though, is going to be, does he play that 80 minutes, which we saw in Game 3 last year? Suggestion would be that he probably does, based on the bench of the Maroons at the moment. But at very least, again, another player that we can lock in probably 60, 70 minutes and be rewarded with some really good output. As you say earlier, that he's going to be a bit of a bodyguard, and he's going to be a tackle bot tonight for sure, and a player that we're really keen on. Potentially, he's got some attacking upside as well. We've seen him plenty of times make a break through the middle, and he's working his butt off all the time to make sure that he's showing that he's there for his team no matter what.
Yeah, the Britton Nickera selection is still a bit of a head scratcher for me. Not in the best form, hasn't been for a couple of seasons now. But also Ruben Cotter can certainly get through 80 minutes on that edge. If Nickera does get onto the field, though, we probably would see Cotter rotate through the middle, and that just is only going to help with his base as well. Matty, you keen on both Yo and Cotter?
Look, super keen on Cotter. I think he's the type of player that we just, as Blues fans, do not want to see play. He just absolutely rips in no matter what position he's playing. And I think, as you said, Dyl out of position tonight, I think he's got to be a lock in your team. Personally, I'm actually going to fade Yo tonight. Nothing other than I just was not able to locate one of the cards that I do need to have in the squad. So my middles there look like a Cotter, Fanua Blake, and a Paddy Carrigan. So I'm actually going to back in Paddy Carrigan off the bench there to get maybe 50 or 60 minutes to be able to reap the rewards.
34 and 36 minutes from memory in Game 2 and Game 3 off the bench for Paddy Carrigan last year, mate. Does that worry you at all?
It doesn't. I think in Origin, it's a real middle forward heavy game. And if there's a bit of rain around tonight, there's an opportunity for him to probably go at a point per minute. So if he can sneak up 40 minutes, then there might be 40 points that he can get. When you're talking, it's only one game. 40 points is generally going to be in your top 17 scores. Yeah,
absolutely. If you're playing Paddy Carrigan inside, I think you're biting your fingernails, waiting for him to get on the field. But once he's on there, every chance he sees the rest of the game out, or probably gets to 40 to 50 minutes, should lock in a fairly decent score. So you've gone Adam Fanua Blake there. Is that confidence, or just because you have his card, or you think he is going to thrive given the new eligibility criteria and he gets to make his Blues debut?
I think it's a thriving aspect, mate. I really do. Like you're putting a bloke who has played in some big games. He's played in grand finals before. He's played in some big test matches before as well, right? So he's not going to be unfamiliar with the stage it's going to be set. It's not going to surprise me if he's the one that takes that first carry as well. Look, he's a big body, but he's also a really opportunistic try scorer around the try line. So for someone in that forward middle rotation, other than Cotter, there's not too many blokes there that I see that could get over for a try tonight, other than AFB.
Yeah, I think the Blues are really going to look at him to sort of stand up and put his stamp on this arena. Dyl, any love for Adam Fanua Blake? Not in your four forwards there. I think he was close to selection for you, though.
Yeah, probably just outside at the moment. And probably the opposite, really. I agree that he's going to rack up the base stats for sure. But I think one of the things that we've sort of been down on AFB since his move from the Warriors to the Sharks is his try-scoring ability and his lack of, I guess, try-scoring. As a result of that move, it's been down significantly. Maybe there might be a bit of a connection. Brayley comes on, plays sort of that middle, the last 10 minutes of the first half, or 15 minutes, and maybe that's when Adam Fanua Blake might go off. So that might limit his opportunity as well. He might have that connection with Brayley, and we might not see that. So yeah, just question marks over that at the moment. The other side though is Mitch Barnett has experience in this Origin arena. He knows what's required of himself. Although his output's not as good, I don't think, in the past. It's probably more just the consistency that I'm looking at in terms of Mitch Barnett at the moment, based on his experience at this arena and at this probably level. It's probably, it's a higher level. It's a step up. As you say, Fanua Blake's had that experience in other areas, but I think the big thing is it's such a different game playing for your country or whatever else compared to playing Origin, and a lot of Origin players have said that in the past, that it's a completely different game, a completely different ball game. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's just a little bit too much for Fanua Blake. And we've also seen his minutes down over the last few years at the Sharks as well, so maybe the minutes might not be there for him as well, considering that bench that the Blues are currently carrying with quite a few middle forwards.
Yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot from this game and go into game 2 with a lot more information in terms of building our sides. There's every chance, someone like Cam Murray in the number 14 jersey could have a really big role in this side, similar to Paddy Carrigan coming off the bench for the Blues. Maybe Cam Murray sits off for the first 20 and then is injected for the next 60, and he'd be a pretty good play there. He's fairly tempting for me, and he may make a late change into my team over Tino, who, look, let's be honest, has not had a very good season whatsoever. We've had much higher expectations from him. Hasn't truly delivered in the Origin arena in the past either. It's probably more so just a minutes thing, seeing him starting with the number 10 on his back, expecting some more minutes from him. Matty, you don't have him in your side. What's your take on Tino?
Look, for Tino, mate, he lets me down week on week as a Titans fan. So,
oh, you poor thing.
If there's one time that I do want to see him really suffer, it's tonight.
Blunt and brutal. I love it.
Look, just on Tino quickly, when he's starting at prop in Origin, he's averaging 50 minutes on the park over the last 5 years, but it's only producing 33 GDS points. So I guess you're 100% correct there. We haven't really seen him perform. He hasn't got the output as some of the other players. Carrigan, for example, off the bench over the last 5 years, he's averaged 50 minutes and he's averaged 45 GDS points, a lot closer to that 1 point per minute that you were saying, Matty. So yeah, maybe Carrigan is the option over Tino based on those numbers, based on the historical data at this stage.
And Dyl Carrigan versus Cam Murray.
I think still going the Carrigan way, just based on those numbers that I've thrown out there at the moment. I haven't looked too deep into Cam Murray, so if you give me a sec, I might have a look at what he's got there. But I think I'd be a lot more excited if Cam Murray was starting. I think same thing with Carrigan as well. But I think Carrigan's probably got the potential to come on and start the game. As I said already, rather than Cam Murray, I don't see him starting. So I'm just not sure about those minutes. I'm not sure about that rotation with the Blues as well, with the full 4 forwards, I guess, and then the couple down, with Brayley there as well. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, the rotation's a bit scary there for the Blues. But I think what we've got to take into consideration as well is if there's an early HIA for any one of the middle forwards or the back rowers, then it looks like probably a Yo and a Cam Murray have got to play probably 70 to 80 minutes, right? So chance for a little bit of an antipod there to play both of them.
Yeah, I think a lot will come down to the way that the game's officiated as well. Do we see the same, level of the same amount of 6 agains and the fatigue, through the middle there? I think that would sort of allow Cam Murray and his running game to be very threatening, that smaller body. Or does the whistle get put away for a little bit and just let the boys dictate how the game should be refereed? Which way would you lean there, Dyl? What do you think is going to happen? Similar to the league we've seen so far for 12 weeks, or is it going to be a little bit different in this arena?
I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think that potentially the whistle's going to go a little bit more. I think that there's going to be maybe less 6 agains as well. I don't know. It's hard to tell. The weather's going to be the impact. I think that the kicking game is going to be super important from teams, and I think it's going to be quite low scoring, where the middle forwards in particular are going to get fatigued pretty quick. So I feel like there's going to be quite a bit of rotation chaos, if you will, and some of those minutes aren't going to be as we expect, because I think the ball's going to be in play for long periods of time. But I still think the whistle's going to go a little bit more than what we like and what we're used to as well.
Finally got a bit of Maroons love here in the chat. Michael Cozzy, come on the Maroons. Good to have you here with us, mate. Gunners hasn't seen trade chaos like this in a long time. We absolutely love it. Yes, the Discord server is alive and well with the amount of people trying to move on their Queensland versus New South Wales cards. And Cal, not too far away from us still. Lucky this game isn't at Suncorp tonight, yes, but I think the weather's not too much better down south, is it, Matty? You had a weather update in front of you, didn't you?
Yeah, a bit of rain on the radar there between about 7:30 and 9 at night. So it says about 40% chance. Hopefully it diverts around the stadium.
Righto, plenty of discussion there about the middle forwards. I think the edge forward position straightforward. And Dyl and I have gone for the same three players there in Hutto Young and Homole Olakwatu lining up there on the edge for New South Wales. And we got Maxi Plath on our bench forward position as well, making his debut for the Queenslanders. Is Hutto Young and Homole Olakwatu a bit of a no-brainer there, Dyl?
Yeah, I think so. I think Olakwatu out of both of those is going to be the one that I'm most concerned about as a Queensland supporter. He's been absolutely damaging down the right side for Manly at club level, and NRL teams who have the chemistry, have these defensive pairings and have blokes specifically focusing on trying to shut him down. They just haven't been able to do that. They cannot combat the power that Olakwatu has and that sort of combination that he's got there. And so I just don't see what a couple of guys who haven't really defended together before and new combinations, what they're going to do to stop someone like Olakwatu, particularly close to the line. I think he's got every opportunity to get over and grab a try tonight. And it just makes me super nervous. For that reason, it's just easy to get him into the side. The other thing that I'm a bit worried about is good old Curdy Capewell there, old man Capewell. He's missed a combined 7 tackles down that side of the park in the last 2 Origin appearances at the end of last year. So, yeah, a bit concerned about his defensive ability as well down that side. And I feel like Ola could run over the top of him for sure.
Yeah, look, in a wetter, a more defensive, a tighter game where the ball doesn't get shifted too wide, you'd imagine. I think that's where the Blues could win the match, either down the right or the left there. And Matty, I think you're all about Hutto Young tonight and his matchup against Sammy Walker. Is that right?
Mate, all over Hutty up against a traffic cone. I think Sammy Walker's in for an absolute rough night down there. If the Blues get Hutty Young some early ball, we could see 10 plus tackle breaks down that left hand side. So, look, I'm backing him in for a man of match performance. I think there's an opportunity for him to get some good early ball, create some space there between the half and the centre, and that left hand side for the Blues might be on track there tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you there, mate. I think that's going to be definitely a point of attack that the Blues will go down, and Ethan Strange and Hudson Young's combination there. I think they're going to team up pretty nicely there, and that might be a little bit of an insight into my third half that we get to later on. But boys, Maxi Plath in the number 13 jersey. We'll probably have team confirmation soon. So if one of you is happy to sort of refresh that page and see if there are any last minute updates. At the moment, Plath in the 13 jersey. Dyl, what do you expect from Plath in terms of minutes? Does he sort of just tackle his butt off for the first 20 minutes and get a spell, or could we see some big minutes in the coming of age of a young kid destined to do big things on the Origin scene?
I think I would love the latter. I would love to see. I absolutely love Max Plath playing for the Dolphins and everything he does, and I think he embodies the Queenslander spirit more than probably almost anyone. He's very much similar to Ruben Cotter, and so yeah, I really hope that he goes out and he has a massive performance and just solidifies that selection in the side. But I could see a world where he's been told to go and just tackle his butt off, slow down the momentum of those big forwards through the middle, and then have a spell after 20, and that's where Paddy Carrigan will come on and spend majority of the time on the field. But I still think either way, that just it still leads to plenty of base points, and I think there's plenty of opportunity. He also loves to run the ball as well. We've seen that quite a lot. More so from dummy half, but there's still opportunity for him to get the ball and be quite damaging through the middle as well, particularly if he does play for longer periods of time and it starts to get fatigued through the middle. But I think probably the former, as you said, tackling for the first 20 minutes, get 20, 25 tackles out of the way and have a spell, and then back into the game and have a big performance at the back end.
Matty, have you got Maxi Plath in your side?
Look, man, I don't. I'd love to have a Maxi Plath, but with the way that the drop rates have increased, Maxi Plath has gone off the board very quickly. Only 10 cards available, right, for Max Plath this year and across the team. So, look, I've pivoted to Kurt Capewell. Again, someone who, as a Blues fan, just looks really solid in that Queensland team and generally plays at 60 to 70 minutes. So, again, if he can put out 40 to 45 points for me, sitting on the bench there, I'd be quite happy with that one.
Yeah, gee, tough. Dyl mentioned the missed tackles and how detrimental that can be to a fantasy score. Cody Capewell has had some massive performances in a maroon jersey, but yeah, you've got a lot more faith in him than I do. Boys, if we were to pick an extra edge forward, who would you go in addition to those three?
Yeah, probably leading towards Capewell. We just wind back the clock to game 2 last year. He ended up on 69 GDS points through some attacking stats more so than anything. And look, he will continue to do a job no matter what. He's calling the side at different times and for different reasons, and he's so versatile. I guess the concern is just like in when we, during the NRL season, when we've got this edge back rower who is quite versatile and can play in the centres as well. The concern is if there's an injury to a centre, he's going to end up there, and I don't think it's as fruitful for Capewell as it is if he's playing on the edge. But look, lining up probably on the left side on the edge, he's averaged 45 GDS points since 2021 at that level. So there's plenty of opportunity for him to, like you said earlier, I think Matty is bank those 40 points and be pretty happy with that and move on and look for some riskier plays, maybe in your halves, where there's a couple of options that we're going to look at and talk about that I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how that goes and which way that lands in terms of which half you're going for. So, yeah, definitely an opportunity for Capewell to score some decent points. It's just the concern is if there is an injury, he might go and fill that void.
Boys, anything more to add to the edge forward position?
No, I'm good.
Let's move on.
And have we got any updates on any last-minute changes? I haven't
seen anything yet.
Not yet?
I'm still refreshing, so keeping that up open. Probably the best way for anyone that is following along to check those updates as well is probably NRL.com. But yeah, nothing yet. Still Harry Grant at 9, Maxi Plath 13, 1 to 13, except for the Ethan Strange one for New South Wales. So nothing yet.
We'll check back shortly, boys. The halves, and I think the halves position could well decide the winner of the Queensland versus New South Wales special comp, particularly if there are plenty of teams that are loading up on special cards. But we've got a few Queensland options in Munster and Sammy Walker making his debut with Ezra Mam off the bench. Cleary and Ethan Strange coming into the side late with Matty Burden on the bench as well. Different options there on screen, Dyl. You and I have both gone for Cleary and Munster, but as it stands, Ethan Strange in my side, Sammy Walker in yours. We'll start with you, Matty. Just on the Cleary selection, is there a world where you can go against Cleary and still compete in this competition tonight?
There's two responses to that one. The short answer is no. The long answer also starts with no. Cleary has to be the first person picked in the halves or even just picked in your squad tonight. Yeah. Goal kicking, we always talk about how much of a benefit goal kicking is. I don't think there's any competition there tonight now that Mitch Moses has been ruled out as well. So for me, Cleary gets the goal kicking tee. He has now got the whole of the field to be able to roam. I think he's going to get a little bit more opportunity tonight with Strange in the 6 to roam both sides as well. For me, mate, Cleary's an absolute lock in that team. And my structure for the halves looks very similar to yours there, Stu.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with no Moses, it just means more kicking meters as well for Nathan Cleary. That probably would have gone in favour of Moses if he had taken the field. But I think we expect to see the ball in Nathan Cleary's hands far more often, given that Strange is there making his debut. Obviously a very talented player, played in that for the Kangaroos at the back end of last year. is that sort of origin type player, but we just haven't seen anything sort of in that arena just yet. Dill, who is your number 2 half? Is it Munster ahead of Sammy Walker?
Yeah, I think so. Just before I get into that, Nathan Cleary, just some numbers from the last couple of years. Has a high score of 114 GDS points from Game 3 2022, and then has a low score of 29.5 GDS points, which was Game 2 last year. So maybe there's a bit of a trend around Game 2s and going high and low in those Game 2s. But yeah, I think either way, still 30 GDS points. You can't really complain. You'd have to be a very brave human not playing Nathan Cleary, particularly in a game like this, even though there's plenty of discussion and conversation around this. Probably arena is the only one that Nathan Cleary hasn't excelled at in real life. But I think in terms of GDS points, I think he's one of the best options that you can pick in your teams for sure. But I think just purely based on base stat output alone, I think Munster's probably the next best option. And that's purely based on tackles, running meters, and kicking meters. Across the 2025 series, he averaged 45 GDS points in base stat output in Cameron Munster. Probably an opportunity, though, for coaches to temper those expectations a little bit with Cameron Munster. Sometimes he doesn't even know what he's going to do before he does it. And it's just kind of spur of the moment, which can mean there is some demerits there. Across last 3 games, just based on missed tackles, he lost 48 GDS points combined of missed tackles in one game. I think Game 1, he missed 10 tackles in that game. So, yeah, you don't want to have 30 points. Negative 30 points, in your side for Cam Munster. But I think it's hard not to take the 45 average. I think the kicking meters are going to be super important. And I said earlier, I think in conditions like this, the long kicking game is going to be the key. And look, Munster last year in that last game, both he and Dearden both had 500 kicking meters, but Munster was the main kicker. And I think that's going to be the case again. I think Walker is also going to have a lot to say with kicking meters as well. And I think that's why I'm leaning Walker at the moment over Strange. I think Strange, has he kicked the ball in his life playing footy at all? I can't remember a time when he's done that. I think Ethan Sanders has taken the reins on kicking at Clubland. And I think, as we said, Cleary's going to take the reins on a lot of the kicking tonight in game as well. So we lose a lot of base points there from Strange. But what we lose in base points, potentially he might make up for in attacking stats, because Ethan Strange is absolutely unreal with ball in hand. And I think that another scary part of the New South Wales team is Strange's ability to be able to break tackles at will. And I think the wet weather is going to just allow that tenfold.
And Matty, is that why you've gone Ethan Strange over Sammy Walker?
Yeah, look, it is. I think Strange just has this really unique tackle busting ability. And when we're talking about, some really cheap GDS points there, getting a +3 there for a couple of cheap tackle busts is always great. And with that combination we spoke about earlier with Huddy Young down that left-hand side, I do think Strange can just rack up a few easy points there with a line break assist and potentially some try assists down there as well. Look, as we're speaking, I'm tossing up now between a Sammy Walker and a Munster. Boys, probably a bit more insight from your perspective with Queensland legend Valentine Holmes now no longer selected in your team. Who takes the goal kicking for Queensland this year?
Yeah, I do think it will be Sammy Walker. I think Kalen Pong is kicking them well, but Sammy Walker has been as well. I think it's a tough one, but he's actually pretty consistent. He's got a radar-like boot at the moment, despite not having too much power. The ball just seems to just sail over the crossbar from out wide. But look, Kalen Ponga is at his best when he's just thinking about fullback, and giving him too many extra responsibilities, I think, can be somewhat detrimental. He's also good at having that huddle back at halfway. I think that's a big reason that some players kick and don't kick if there's someone else with a similar caliber. But they're up there at the tee, they're expected to kick the 2, but the other bloke's got to be in the huddle there at halfway and get the boys pumped up for the next set. And I think Kalen Ponga's got a pretty big voice in that side. And look, if him and Sam Walker are on par in terms of kicking, I think Kalen Ponga is better in that huddle. Could be completely wrong there when we see the first Queensland try in the first 5 minutes and KP kicks. But yeah, look, the pre-game warm-up might be pretty telling there if only one of them has the tee in hand. And Matty, I'm starting to lean your direction as well, that Sammy Walker is pretty interesting in these conditions. he will demand a lot of footy. He's got an excellent short kicking game. He may force a couple of dropouts. But yeah, it's probably the missed tackles. Dyl, what's your answer to Matty's question there about the goal kicking?
Yeah, my tongue-in-cheek answer was Harry Grant getting the kicking tee, which I think we've seen once or twice for the Storm. But yeah, I think Sammy Walker at this stage, and that probably helps with my argument for him over Strange. I still the other thing that I think that's important is the matchup data, and although maybe we can't read too much into that, over the last 5 years, Queensland have allowed 60 GDS points to right halves, which makes sense with Nathan Cleary down that right side. New South Wales allowing 49 down that right side. Left side, both teams are reducing or restricting their left side counterpart. Queensland only allowing 33 GDS points to left halves since 2021. So it obviously shows that the ball is going to Cleary a lot more when he's on that right side, and the left side player is being restricted quite a lot. And it used to be Jerome Luai, Mitch Moses had that opportunity as well. And I think potentially Strange has got this one game to show whether he's there or not. And maybe that is just going to a little bit, because we would expect Mitch Moses probably back for game 2. So maybe that pressure of the one game performance and needing to perform well might get to him. But yeah, I think in terms of the question, I think Walker probably takes the kicking tee, but I think either way, I think we're all, a little spoiler, we're all going to look at Callum Ponga. I think it's either way that probably won't concern us too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Boys, just quickly, 12 months ago, this time of the year, Ricky Stewart did say that a young Canberra 5'8" would make the Ashes tour and represent New South Wales in 12 months' time. That premonition has come true. There's just something about Ethan Strange, and if anyone knows an Origin player, Sticky must be up there. I think he's going to get the job done, and that's why I've got to have him in my side. And look, if the Blues win and he plays decent or plays well, particularly with that combination on the left-hand side there and maybe linking up well with Nathan as well, I think it might be tough for Mitchy Moses to get back on the field. We have seen some times where Mitch Moses and Nathan Cleary sort of, try to outplay each other and maybe overplay their hand, or, there's a little bit of disharmony between the two. And if the Blues do put on a show tonight and Strange goes well, it wouldn't surprise me to see that team remain unchanged. Boys, let's hop into the centre position here. Robbie Toya, pretty popular. Tolu Kula on debut. Matty, you had some news there that we may see Kula in the centres where he's a little bit more comfortable. Still no updates of team lists, have we, gentlemen?
No, just refreshed again. It doesn't look like anything has changed. It's still as expected at the moment. So I can't see any update to say this is the final team, though. So we'll just keep refreshing, and might have to jump onto Channel 9 soon to see the coverage as well.
Yeah, sweet as. So, Matty, just the two centres in your side, and if so, who are they?
Yeah, look, just the two centres. Gone top heavy on the fullbacks there on the bench. So, look, I'm going to run a Crichton Stags combination. I would be really, really keen to put a Cooler in there. I don't have one of his cards, but it might be even an opportunity to put a Platinum in there, just as a higher rarity. Look, he has some really good stats when he's playing at centre compared to wing and fullback. So, look, I think if I'm going to go with what I predict the match to be, I do favour the New South Wales win, and I do favour there a couple of points coming from our outside backs tonight. So we're going to go top heavy there with the New South Wales team. Not to say that Rob Toya is not a bad shout. I think he's a great player. Will stand up in the moment. Will he be lining up against Crichton tonight, or is he going to go up against Stags there?
Yeah, so he'll be on the right up against Crichton.
Yeah, so I mean, Crichton hasn't been defending too great there for the Dogs recently. So if we're looking at some opportunities for Queensland, then it'd be down that side with Toya.
And that little combination there with Sammy Walker as well. They've been clicking of late. Dyl, you've got Tolu Kula in your side as well. If he does stay on the wing where he's named, is that why you're playing him? Would you prefer him in the centre? What's your thoughts around Tolu Kula?
Yeah, no, I like him playing on the wing, particularly if he's playing on the left wing. And I'm assuming that's the case at the moment. We have seen To'o sort of play both sides of the field in the past. I'm assuming at this stage, Kula is going to play on the left, based on he's been playing left centre, etc. Looks like that is finalised, and he is staying on the wing, based on NRL.com saying the final team is locked, but we'll keep refreshing that just in case. But it looks like he's staying on the wing. And yeah, if he's on the left wing, I think there's more opportunity. Queensland allowed 50 GDS points to left wingers since 2021. Compared to the right side, they've only allowed 41. So there's some opportunity there down that left side, I think. That's going to be super important. And we know the speed that he has. We know the game-breaking ability that he has, that we predicted he would have moving to the fullback role for Manly, but we never saw. So he's obviously much more comfortable playing just down the edge and looking for opportunities to break the line in a small area rather than sweeping both sides of the field. So I think it's going to be really important for him to have a big game tonight, knowing what or doing what he does best and what he's done best for quite a while for Manly this season.
Look, I think if the weather was better, he would definitely be much more in consideration for me. I think the weather's going to be a bit more of an equaliser, but also mean that the footy stays, fairly central and probably doesn't shift too wide. Of course, if they create just half a gap, he does have the speed to take advantage of that and score in the corner or make a line break. But I think naming the wing there, I think the Queenslanders are going to target him in the air as well. When he was playing fullback for Manly in those few games, that was, a very poor part of his game, and he was very susceptible. It'll be no different there on the wing. There'll be plenty of high balls kicked in his direction, and if he is a little bit nervous, if he does have the yips after dropping one or two early on, there's every chance that he makes a few errors or he doesn't get too involved cutting the ball up, and it may be a fairly underwhelming score. So that's how I see things playing out. It could completely blow up when he races 80 and scores early on. But Matty, is that a thinking? Do you think the Queenslanders are going to target him in the air?
Yeah, we've got some very small wingers playing for us tonight in Cooler and Toto. So, look, if there's one credit to Sammy Walker's game as well, he is used to kicking to some tall pillars out there with Marky Mark and Toops. So, I think that kicking game for Queensland, anywhere within the 30-metre line for the Blues, is going to be a high ball out to the wings. So, as we know, there are a lot of errors impact our GDS scores quite quickly. And I just don't think he's going to get that space on the wings coming out of the back line compared to the early ball that he gets at Manly playing in the centres. Just not going to see that opportunity tonight from Cooler.
Absolutely, mate. And you do like Katoni Staggs. Talk us through why you've got him in your side.
Again, boys, just someone who I think is built for the stage. Coming off a suspension, I think he's going to have a lot of testosterone built up there to be able to put some really decent shots on the Queenslanders. I think his ability to break tackles, but also defensively, he doesn't miss many tackles either. So when we're talking about reducing those negative stats, Katoni is pretty elite for that one. But also for him, loves a meat pie. So I know we're not a betting agency or forum here, but Katoni Staggs' first try scorer looks real nice tonight.
Oh, you've heard it here first. Yeah, I don't mind it. I think you're right. I think he is, it's a weird term to throw out. I said it for Ethan Strange, but built for Origin. He just has that. He didn't have the best, debut or the best start to his Origin career early on there. He's been, out-favoured by the likes of Latrell, Tommy Turbo in the centres, but gets an opportunity. Likely playing all three games this year. And I think particularly again with the weather, he's probably going to make more tackles. The footy's going to get to him more often than it's going to get to the wingers. And he probably is able to slip past some defence as well. I think there's just a little bit more safety in his scoring tonight rather than, the upside of maybe a Cooler if he does get a nice big break down the wing and turns that into a try. It's probably just a weather thing for me. But yeah, I'm with you there, Matty. The fact that he's probably going to get through the base in terms of his tackles, and then hopefully a few tackle breaks as well. Is that it for the centre position, gents?
Yeah, just quickly on Toya. We go back to this time last year, and we were really pumping up Latrell Mitchell lining up against Toya and how good Latrell was going to be and how easy it was going to be of a contest between him and Toya, and we were completely wrong there, and he proved that he was an absolute elite option. He finished that game as the highest scoring centre, Robert Toya, with 41 GDS points. I feel like something similar probably on his output tonight. Crichton at left centre has allowed an average of 37 GDS points to opposition right centres. So there's obviously a bit of a vulnerability there at an Origin level where scores are generally reduced. That's probably a pretty decent score that you'd be happy with. Versus someone like Katoni Staggs, who you did say had a pretty tough start to his career in Origin all the way back in 2022, where he ended up finishing with about 25 GDS points in his 50-odd minutes that he played. So, 22 GDS points. Quite a bit different in terms of debuts between Toya and Staggs. But obviously, Staggs is a lot more mature now and had a lot more 40 under his belt. So I still expect a big game, Staggs, but I just expect that Toya is going to show us again why he... And using your words, Stu, built for Origin.
Matty, any likelihood of a late minute change to get Toya in your side?
Look, lads, I'm trying. Look, I'm confident in the Blues. I think if we're going to back myself in and the boys in here, it's going to be a high-scoring game from the Blues' perspective. What we do well is when we put points on, we can put some points on quickly. So I'm going to stick with the Crichton Staggs combo.
There you go, boys. Wingers. Gee, difficult position to pick from, isn't it? What do we do for the winger position? It's a pretty simple one, isn't it? Obviously, with who have we got? Fafita and Kula obviously playing on the wing for their respective sides, but both available as centre options. We didn't even speak about Jojo Fafita, so speak up, boys, if there is any interest in rolling out a Jojo Fafita. But Dyl, start with you. Is it as simple as Toto and Cobbo? And if yes, what are we doing in terms of salary?
Yeah, I think because it is that simple that it happens quite a lot at the Origin Arena where the coaches pick our side for us and only allow us to pick the two wingers. So, load up your salary on both Toto and Cobbo. Everyone's going to have to play them. So everyone's going to have the same base score in terms of that GDS score. Let's get as much multiplier on that as possible. So roll out your Origin card, roll out your golds or even a platinum, because you're going to potentially have 20%, 30% more than the next player that plays their bronze card. So I think just a pretty simple one. The only two options: load up on salary.
And they probably are going to match up head to head with Cobbo on the left and Toto likely on the right. I like the shout for plenty of salary on Brian Toto. A hat-trick in last season's losing decider from the Blues. He was just absolutely incredible and hasn't been super for the Penrith Panthers, but just seems to get it done in sky blue, doesn't he? Consistently over 200 run meters, plenty of tackle breaks, and his running style and this weather is probably going to suit him quite nicely. For me, probably a little bit concerned about loading up some salary on Cobbo. He's probably got a bronze for me if I don't own a Queensland versus New South Wales card, given that I just don't know what to expect from him or that left edge of the field. Matty, what's your thoughts on salary for a Selwyn Cobbo if you don't have a Queensland versus New South Wales card?
Yeah, I'd be tearing back here for Cobbo and put him at the lowest salary that you can afford for him. If there's anyone out there that's looking for a spare bronze Selwyn Cobbo, hop into my DMs. I have about 95 of him, and I'm more than happy to give you one this evening. Agree with all your points about Brian Toto. I think it's the opposite. If you're looking for someone to put some salary on, put it on Brian, someone who steps up in these big occasions and the big games, purely just from a base stat and meters game perspective. So I think we rolled out the stats about an average of 200 run meters across the past couple of Origins. Very close to, and probably should have won Man of the Series a few years back as well.
Yeah, agree.
Kind of got robbed from that one. So, load up on Toto. Good opportunity for him to burrow under some tall giraffe legs there of Cobbo for a hat-trick.
Alrighty. And to another position that's fairly simple in terms of the three that we have available to pick from. James Tedesco, Kalen Ponga lining up in the fullback position for their respective sides. Hammer, Tabuai-Fidow likely lining up at left centre for the Maroons. We have to pick him at fullback, but we'll start with Hammer, boys. Matties, firstly, Hammer in your side, and why is he better than the rest of the centre options if you have got Hammer in your side, despite him playing centre for Queensland?
Yeah, look, my back three looks exactly the same as what we've got up there on the board from you lads. I think for Hammer, just that game-breaking ability, if he has the potential to get a line break, we're not catching him. and therefore, really easy to rack up some points there. Also, heaven forbid for Queensland fans and Knights fans, but if something does happen to Ponga, having a look at the lineup of that bench, I think Hammer would go straight to fullback. So there is always potential there for some injuries in Origin, HIA or a Simbin, and I think in that instance, Hammer's the first one to go to the fullback position.
Well, we do have Shibasaki as that back replacement. If only there was someone a little bit better that could fill in at fullback or change a game in the final 10 minutes if you were chasing. Does anyone come to mind there, Dyl?
Yeah, I think back to a bit of a play that you made. I can't remember whether it was last year or the year before, where Reece Walsh was the 18th man then, before we had a 6-man bench, and
yeah.
You just snuck him into your side as a bit of a pod if he happened to come on the field after an early HIA. But no, yeah, bit of a head scratcher that Reece Walsh isn't in the 20-man or the 19-man side, and a bit of a strange one. But I guess Billy Slater is paid the big bucks for a reason, and there's obviously some game plan around that. But I think, in terms of what we're going to see, if Ponga does go down, I think Hammer goes to that fullback role, and it's going to be super dangerous either way, whether Hammer's at centre or fullback. And the numbers sort of say that from his perspective over the last 5 years, averaging 50 at fullback and 44, 45 GDS points in the centres from Hammer. So either way, I think he's still going to be dangerous.
Yeah, that speed, absolutely electrifying, and he does know how to use it and turns a half break into something much bigger. Boys, those three fullbacks on the screen. Well, let's just talk Teddy and Ponga. Who do we see? Matty, start with you. Who do we see having the bigger game and scoring the most GDS points on? So if someone had to put their last couple of dollars of salary on one of these guys and run a bronze on the other, which way would we be heading and why?
I think the consistency factor for me probably leans towards Teddy. Without any bias there, Tedesco is a base stat monster and really wants to follow up that ball in the middle as well. So if there's any big boys in the middle with AFB and even Robson getting some cheap meters from hooker there, Tedesco is a really good follower of ball up the middle, and there's been a few tries through Origin over the years with Tedesco up the middle and throwing the ball out there to Tommy Turbo, who unfortunately we don't have. But, on the other angle, you've got Ponga, who's just electrifying in the back line. And if we have any defensive weaknesses on the right-hand side and we don't match up properly, Ponga's going to absolutely exploit that. And I think we saw that a couple of weeks ago in the Knights game where by half-time he was on about 60 GDS points. So it makes me very worried as a Blues fan to see Ponga, but also very blessed not to see Walsh in your team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That Tony Stagg's side of the field is, probably going to be put under plenty of pressure, and he's probably going to come up and try to jam KP early on and try to send him out of the game like he's done before. I think he's got a bit of a track record for that, doesn't he?
The old Lady on Walsh tactic, eh?
Yeah, true.
In Stagg's only appearance, lining up against Val Holmes when Val Holmes was good, Stags actually allowed 60 GDS points to Val Holmes in that game. So there's a good opportunity that, like you say, Ponga and Hammer down that left edge is going to be pretty dangerous.
Rightio, boys, we're about 1 hour, a bit further out from kickoff. Should anyone need to make some last-minute changes, here's where we probably were maybe 2 or 3 hours ago in terms of our consensus starting 13. We'll run through them quickly, and Dyl, I'll throw to you first and see if you're going to make any changes after tonight's discussion. Our forwards, we've gone Harry Grant at hooker, obviously. Our 3 middles, Tino, Yo, and Cotter. Haumole Olakuatu, Hutto Young on the edges, with Cleary and Munster in the halves. Toya Cooler at centre, To'o Cobbo on the wing, with James Tedesco likely outscoring KP. What do we make of that starting 13, Dyl? Obviously no bench there, but anyone jump out in terms of people we change?
No, I think based on all of our discussions, that's pretty set. It's the bench that I've still got a couple of question marks over for myself in terms of probably the middle forwards and what that rotation is going to look like, and the question marks between Barnett and potentially Carrigan and the difference there and who I might play. That's probably the only point that I'm still considering at the moment. But I think in terms of that starting 13, I think I'm pretty set on that. The other one's going to be the halves and making that final decision on, do I play Sam Walker with some salary, or do I play the Ethan Strange Origin card? So it just is really going to come down to who I think is going to have the better performance in terms of GDS points. So I think I need to take the rarities out of it and just consider who I think is going to have the better game.
Absolutely. Matty, just quick summary. What are your differences compared to on screen and your side, if you don't mind sharing?
Look, you can probably see from the back of my screen, even my team might have been changing throughout the course of these conversations. Look, I'm trying to find myself a Totokula at the moment. If I can put him in for a Stags, I will. But I'm very firm on Ethan Strange over Cameron Munster in that lineup. That's someone who I feel quite passionate about, getting some good base stats there and attacking stats on the left-hand side. So if I was going to make any changes, it's adding Strange and trying to find myself a Totokula. If there's anyone listening on the stream that wants to lend a friend one for the night.
There you go. Plenty of opportunities to trade in the next hour or so. Dyl, you've got a Tolukula, don't you?
Maybe. I'm not sharing though.
I'm not confirming nor denying. Boys, just quickly, as we do every single show, the BroDown ShowDown did end pretty nicely in my favour. Finally, a 3-0. We've had plenty of 2-1s. I still can't quite climb back the break of serve, but a 3-0 is always pretty nice for a buy round. Dyl, we did spin the wheel off camera because we always do like to thank those that support us, join us in the chat and put in their votes. We spun that wheel and the winner is Boney_JB. Congratulations, mate. I think we don't see him pop up in the chat a lot until this segment, so I think he's just waiting. I think he's always voting for me regardless of the selections on screen. So congratulations, Boney JB. Dyl, have you got a pack to open?
I do, mate. I've got a rare pack, 9 players. So all 9 players are going to go straight to JB. And I know that he's progressing pretty well across the starter and contender comp. So hopefully we can get something decent for him from a couple of these cards here. So the 9-player rare pack. Hopefully you can see that on screen.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes. Gotcha.
Perfect. Alrighty, good luck, JB. Thank you for supporting us as always. Hopefully we get something decent for you, whether it's for State of Origin or for any of the regular season competitions. Kicking off hot, we have 3 gold cards straight off the top. David Fafita, Reece Walsh, and Brian To'o. In the middle, we've got a Hayes, we've got a Jack DeBellin, an Andrews, and then along the bottom, a Scotty Drink, Alex Twal, and a Willett. Mate, that pack is gold.
Pack of the week kind of stuff, that is.
Pack of the week for JB. Boom. So JB, make sure you hit us up on Discord. I will get those cards to you. If you need that Brian To'o for tonight, make sure you get into my DMs straight away. Unreal.
It's that simple to get yourself some pretty handy cards just like that if you want a chance to win some cards. And next week, we are going to do a special BroDown ShowDown Queensland versus New South Wales edition where Dyl and I are selecting 1 player from New South Wales, 1 from Queensland, 1 forward, 1 back. We removed the halves position just so no one could claim Nathan Cleary straight away. So it should be a bit more of a leveler. Dyl's up 7-6. He had first selection. He chose Cotter, then Brian To'o as his New South Wales back after I chose Teddy as mine. And then I went a bit of a surprise pick there in Maxi Plath. Matty, we combine these scores. So it can't be 1-1. Could obviously be 2-0, but we combine the score. So we add Plath and Tedesco to Cotter and To'o. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
That's a tough one, boys. But I'm going to back Dylan here. I'm really firm that I think Cotter is probably that number 1 player for Queensland tonight. And love myself a bit of Brian To'o. Hat-trick this evening. So, Dyl, you're going up here.
Let's go.
There we go. We've got Sif Kanga going blind. Once again, loves his blind selections. Might have to go back through and see how many of them have actually paid off. Sif, let us know. We've gone, Michael Cossey has gone, Dyl as well, Tracy Wall, a bit of love for Stu, excellent. I think it'll be pretty tight regardless, and it may come down to, whether Teddy gets the spoils with a try or two, or it finishes on the edge there with Brian Toto. Righto, boys. Any last minute thoughts, Matty, from you? What's your little summary of what do you expect to see tonight?
Look, without watching any of the pre-game, I'm actually getting really itchy now to get in front of a TV and see some football. Now, look, I think it's going to be a good game. I think the teams that they've selected, there's a really strong starting 13, and there might be a little bit of a lackluster in the coming off the bench, but let's hope that the middle forwards for New South Wales set it up, and then we've got some really strong outside backs there. So I'm going to tip the Blues in for a 32-14 win tonight, boys.
Well, plenty of points there. And Dyl, your rebuttal?
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a lot lower score game. I think something like a 14-10 score line is probably more like what I expect. And I think in terms of GDS, I think it's all going to come down to the halves and who you pick in your halves, whether you go with that Sammy Walker, whether you go with Ethan Strange as your third half, or whether you throw a bit of a spanner in the works and completely fade Nathan Cleary. I think that might be the difference maker tonight for GDS, and I think that's going to come down to who wins the Chockies tonight.
Let's hope that it's the 38 players in blue and maroon that decide the fixture, boys, and not the man in the middle with the whistle. Thanks for joining us once again, everybody. Matty, thanks as always. Love having you on board, and you brought a little bit of Blues passion to the stream, which is always handy as well. Good luck tonight, mate. Good luck, everyone else. Thanks for joining us once again. We'll be back next Wednesday for the round 14 live preview, same time, 6 p.m. Good luck tonight. Jump into the Discord if you need any last-minute trades. Go the Maroons.
Go the Blues. See you, boys.
Cheers, guys.
See you guys.
See you later.